Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Mira, and I will be playing Sammy Jax.
Hello! Hello! I am Arson Obsessions, also known as Avi, and today I'm going to be playing Little Tally Mark. Yay!
Yay, whom we love very, very, very much.
Yes! And we also love Sammy. Sammy is a good bean. Good bean!
We just,
Good tall string bean!
we hold both of these children very, very soft.
We hold them so soft. And boy howdy, do these children have some things to talk about, don't they?
Oh boy, yes they do, yes they do. Yes,
Oh
sirree.
boy!
So, Tally, it's been a bit since Animus, but like not so far that it's been like a month, but it's been a bit. What have you been
Probably
up
like
to?
a couple weeks at most. Well, Tally has been, vibing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like freaking, she has, for as long as she can remember, not had this level of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and she has no idea what to do with it. She's mostly just kind of vibed nearby people that she knows, but at the same time, all of the rest of her time has been devoted to doing, just wandering, honestly, because she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you think that she's gone off to look for Sammy?
Uh, I think she has once or twice before, but like didn't
Mm-hmm.
know where to look for him. So this
Okay.
is probably her third or fourth attempt trying to find him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Tally,
But like the city is so big, and
yes,
like
it's
she's
very
met
big.
Sammy before, but also she doesn't know Sammy entirely well enough to know where he vibes most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Tally, as you're walking through Toontown, you start to notice that a lot of these shops and places are a lot more abandoned looking than you would first think because like on one block there's like a bustling town of people going into shops, going into like window shopping. It's like it's active, there's people, and then you cross basically like it's like you cross a barrier and there is on the next street it's practically dead silent. There's still like the birds and the trees and there's like a cat across the street and stuff, but like the people are gone. Like there's really no one really around.
Hmm. Well, in Tally's case, no people being around is actually a very comforting thing because she gets very, very nervous in crowds.
Mhm.
Oh boy, crowds.
Mhm. So
Happy Tally is a Tally that's by herself most of the time.
all right, how about you roll me a perception?
Oh, great. Starting right off with. Actually, Tally has a good perception. I'm not used to my characters having a good perception.
Mhm.
Hold on. Oh, that's not
Oh,
right.
you
Oh, that's not right.
you forgot the
It looks
letter.
like a nat. That looks like a nat 20, but it isn't. Ignore that. That's an 11.
Okay. So you continue to not really see any people and stuff, but like as you're walking, kind of just looking in through all of these kind of dilapidated shops and everything, you see a theater. It looks just as abandoned as everything else. There's like a worn out sign that like you think that it used to display whatever movie was going on at the time, but it's just worn away and kind of crumbly and stuff. And there is a little alley to the side where there is a slat in the in leading into a back courtyard that you can kind of see like there's like a few like trees poking out across from the on top of the 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 fence, but
Hmm.
yeah, like you don't really notice any people yet.
Yeah. I think like Tally takes a little bit to walk around the perimeter of the building for a little bit, just to like get a
Mm-hmm.
good view of everything that she can see from where she is. And eventually she starts like looking towards like the area with the trees and starts walking towards there, kicking a little pebble along the alleyway as she does so.
Mm-hmm. Let me just see. Okay. Okay. So you kind of hear like this shuffling in the back as you're walking towards the alleyway and stuff, but like it just is kind of like something being kind of like picked up from the ground and like a tiny little
Oh. Tally immediately goes into nervous hiding mode. So I'm gonna roll stealth for Tally real fast.
Oh, nat 20, the child is gone.
The child is hidden. Freaking I like to think that like there's a noise and then Tally immediately like flattens herself against the wall, like literally flattens rubber hose style. So she's just
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
two-dimensional.
Just poof. Okay, let's do another roll to see if. And there is the sound of a pot shattering.
Oh no! I
But
think
Tally, you recognized that yell.
oh, Tally does in fact recognize that yell. Very cautiously, Tally is peeking into wherever this noise came from with her little pie cut eyes and just staring. Is it dark?
No,
Or
it's
is
like
it
kind of shady and stuff, but it's like midday. Like
yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's very you can see.
Yeah, because as of recent developments, Tally can no longer see in the dark, and she's still getting used to not being able to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
And
you
I think she's just peering around looking for Sammy because she
yep.
recognizes that voice.
Yep, and you peek through the slat and you see Sammy, but he looks different from what you usually see him in. He doesn't have his mask over his nose or his mouth, and his hood is down, revealing very long, curly rainbow hair. And he is standing with his hands on his hips, glaring down at this pot that he had just dropped. And like his
Oh my
shading is
gosh.
kind of like a light red as he's just glaring down at it.
Angie. I think Tally, seeing this, has had a moment of mischief pop in her head. And there's like, like those cartoon sound effects of like the sneaking tiptoes? The little
Uh-huh.
dink, dink, dink. Tally is very, very quietly sneaking up behind Sammy.
Okay, let me see if he notices the music. He does not. That was a nat one. He does not perceive. He's too busy kind of just muttering growlix under his breath because just damn it, that was like kind of an expensive pot. He was gonna make some really pretty flower arrangements, and now it's shattered on the ground. He has mending,
Oh
but
no! But it's gonna
now
take a while to fix a whole pot, man. It takes like a
yep,
minute to
yep,
cast mending. Oh
yep.
boy.
He's just like quietly grumbling growlix under his breath because damn it, that was a nice pretty pot.
And while he's mumbling grunts under his breath, Tally sneaks up right up behind him, lifts her little arms in the air, and goes, boo! In the quietest voice possible.
Just gonna roll something real quick to see. Okay, so he like jumps and his shading goes like purple And like he like jumps really high up in the air, but he manages to catch himself on the way down and just spins around and it's like Tally?
And Sally's just jiggling.
You scared me there. What are you doing here?
I don't know. I was wandering around a bit and I heard you. Did you? And like she looks down at the remains of the pot and kind of pokes one bit of it with her toe, or at least the toe of her little shoe.
I dropped it. I shouldn't have because it wasn't heavy. I moved and it fell and yeah.
Sometimes you drop things. It is in the nature of being a toon, I think.
yeah. I think so. Man, how have you been, Tally? I haven't seen you in a bit.
Oh, I've been doing okay. And if you want, you can roll insight on that.
Okay, that is a 1, so a 12. What does a 12 give me?
Probably kind of like the face value stuff. Just yeah, she said she's fine. And like, maybe there's like little bits more to it, but it's hard to read.
Sammy kind of just nods and is like, well, it's really good to see you, Tally. I'm glad you're okay. I was worried about you.
Yeah. I'm sorry I disappeared for so long. I just, I don't know. I've needed some time to think. And like Tally just kind of like looks around the room for like what other stuff is in the theater area
Well,
where they're in.
we're actually in the garden that like
Garden. Okay.
Yeah, we're in a garden, which is why Sammy had a pot.
Yeah, that explains it.
And as you look around, you see some fresh flower beds that that are like have freshly potted flowers. There is farther back, kind of around some of the longer standing garden area with like a lot of really pretty flourishing flowers. There is a fountain with a little babbling fountain spurt that is surrounding a statue of a very pretty lady with glass blown rainbow hair holding a spear.
I kind of want to roll religion, but at the same time, I know Tally knows absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, she could roll religion and you could spin it as if she recognizes it as something more deific.
Like, deific? Yeah, true. Let's do that then.
Ooh.
Wow, okay. Well, it does make a little bit of sense because I think the last time since she's interacted with someone, the last person she interacted with was Donut, and Donut mentioned stuff about gods, and Tally has been like not exactly researching but noticing more about god stuff.
Also,
So
Donut did
she
mention
can, like, recognize that. Yeah.
Donut did mention that Sammy is a cleric.
And like looking at the rainbow hair of both Sammy and this statue, she's making the connections. Rainbow hair plus rainbow hair equal cleric, perhaps?
In this case, yes, because Sammy was a sleepy bean. and his deity has a very wonderful sense of humor whom we love.
That's good.
So, with these dots connected, Tally, what are you gonna do? Because Sammy's just kind of looking at you curiously, head tilted a little.
In a very cat-like fashion, Tally is just kind of staring at it.
Sammy kind of blinks and then looks at Tally and then back at the statue and is like, Tally, you okay? he kind of waves his hand in front of Tally's face.
Oh, and like Tally kind of shakes her head a little bit once Sammy gets her attention. Like, oh, sorry, I, and she like looks up at the statue again, and she points to it, and then looks up at Sammy like, is that a god?
Yeah, that's Prismatone. She's my god. Actually, I follow her. It feels like I'm one of
Very
her.
quietly, Tally pumps a fist because she's right.
Sammy kind of rubs the back of his head. Sammy rubs the back of his head, and he just kind of quietly mutters under his breath, kind of feels like I'm the only one who really worships her anymore.
Well, and like Tally looks at Sammy and like looks back at the statue, and she's trying to like think of stuff to say, but like she's not very good at starting conversations. She's more by herself than she isn't.
We love her anyway, and Sammy is just as awkward.
Ah, yes, two awkward beans.
How are they going to communicate? They're both awkward as peck. Sammy kind of just looks at Tally, and then he smiles. And Tally, you notice that it's a very sharp smile. You didn't expect Sammy to have such pointy teeth.
Oh. I think absolutely when Tally realizes this, she kind of points to Sammy's mouth, like, oh, teeth.
Huh? Teeth? What about my teeth? And he kind of like reaches over and like starts poking at his teeth really confusedly.
You got pointy teeth.
Oh yeah. I think it's because I'm a barbarian. I don't know. My parents never had pointy teeth, but anyways.
Hey, do you want to roll insight real fast?
Oh boy, here we go. 14.
When you say parents, there's like a little flash of confusion on Tally's face.
Sammy blinks and then is like he his own shading kind of turns gray for a moment, and then he just kind of looks at the fountain where like there's like a little built-in bench around the fountain, and he's just like, do you want to sit down for a bit? I don't know how long you've been walking, but it's the fountain is a nice place to sit as any. I don't really have any chairs.
Yeah, Tally just kind of nods, and she like looks towards the bench before she looks back up at Sammy and holds out her little mitten hand.
Sammy takes her mitten hand. He like takes it so sweet and just like gently guides her to the fountain and sits there and like kind of just like pats at his side to invite her to sit up if she would like.
Oh my gosh. Tally is a very little toon, so
Does she need help getting
her
up?
hopping up. Well, I think at first she's like trying to hop up.
Sammy's gonna reach over and pull her up. Just gonna.
Oh! Okay.
He goes to help try and pull her up, and like she like, I think like since Sammy didn't warn her, she just kind of rubber hose stretches.
Yeah. Like her feet stay on the ground and the upper half of her body's getting lifted up in the air. Like, whoa, okay. Whoa.
Oh, sorry. Do you want help?
Just give me a sec. And like, I think it stretches for a little bit more before the rest of her body comes following like a rubber band.
Sammy puts her down, and he's just like, his shading is turned kind of like this bluish teal evergreen color.
Oh, that's a lot of colors.
Like, imagine it kind of stacking up as layer. It's a like, I'm trying to describe the exact shade. It's hard.
Yeah, that's valid.
But yeah, it's like a blue tinted evergreen.
Nice.
Yeah, he just kind of, it's like, I noticed that you were a little confused when I mentioned parents. Do you not know what a parent is?
Well, I remember somebody talking to me about it before, but it's I don't really get it. And Tally kind of scratches the back of her neck.
Sammy kind of just hums and nods, and he looks at you, Tally, and he's trying to think of how to explain it to a Toon that doesn't really understand a parent unit, because he's a Frankenolly and he's grown up with parents, and he kind of thinks about it for a moment, and then he's like, traditionally, there's two Toons who will sometimes want another Toon in their life, and they'll either go adopt another Toon, or they'll somehow, in the really wide array of ways Toons can have kids, they end up having a kid. And that's usually what constitutes as a parent, is they are usually it's a pair, but a parent can be one or many, and they are that Toon's guardians until they're old enough to take care of themselves. Does that make sense?
I think like Tally blinks a little bit and she nods along, because Sammy's doing like a very good job of describing it.
And sometimes
in like a way that she can understand.
And sometimes a Toon, this Toon family will have. That's what Toons are. It's usually what a group of Toons are called when they want to be in this kind of family unit. This unit, they're called a family, and sometimes they'll have more kids come into the family through adoption or birth or any other way, and those are called siblings. They can be gender neutral. They can be a brother, which is when they use he, him pronouns, and they could be a sister, where they use she, her pronouns, or any other mix of things. So that's what a traditional family is. Families can also be found. You can form your own family if you didn't have one yourself. It kind of it's what me and Coda did. We found each other, and I didn't want to leave him alone, and we're brothers now. Tally, his shading has turned a little purple, like not like deep purple, but like it's a very light lilac, and he's kind of just fiddling with his hands, and he's not really looking at you, Tally. He's like, kind of just looking to the side. So if you want to roll insight on that,
it is insight time. All right, Tally, 19. That is a
okay.
19 for Tally's insight.
Sammy's been talking about found family and how he found Coda and their brothers now, and Tally, you realize he's really scared to say this to you, but he views you like a sister, but he's scared that you don't feel the same way about him, because it's only been a few adventures that you and him have been on, but he loves you so much, Tally. Like, with that 19, you know that he would move heaven and earth for you, and he has. tried to do that several times.
Oh, that's so soft. Mira, you just one-shot me in my heart. Oh. I think Tally is kind of sitting there and processing this because she's just got a lot of information laid at her that she's still trying to piece together. Like parents, siblings, brother, sister. And so like Sammy just kind of like sees her pointing at herself, then pointing at Sammy, and then pointing at herself again. Like the gears, you can see the gears floating in a little bubble above her head.
Oh, bless. And like he just kind of awkwardly, like nervously shuffles a little in place, and he's just like, I view you as a sister, Tally. I don't. It's okay if you don't feel the same way, but I love you, Tally. I really do.
I love you too. I just, I don't know about families yet. If that makes sense.
That's okay.
I just,
I've
never had one before, but
if you wanted, I
want
could.
to figure it out because it looks
could.
nice. It sounds nice.
I could help you figure it out if you wanted.
I think Tally thinks about this for a bit before she nods and like scoots closer to Sammy.
Sammy just pulls her into a hug and just kind of buries his face into her hat.
Oh, okay. Tally just kind of squeaks as she hesitates for a bit before she gives Sammy a hug in return. I like hugs. Hugs are nice.
They are. They're really nice. They're
really warm. I like warm.
Warm is good. I'm glad you're okay, Tally. When I saw you being controlled, I was so scared. So scared I was gonna lose you.
Like how we almost lost you?
Yeah, like how you almost lost me. Tally, I'm so sorry that you had to go through something like that. I'm so sorry.
And like, do you want to roll insight real fast?
Yeah, we're gonna roll insight. Yes, dice Berther, thank you.
Wow.
18.
That is a wonderful insight. Tally doesn't seem to have the expected reaction to that. She, like, when you tell somebody that they've been controlled, usually the automatic response is, anger or appallment or whatever. But, like, this has been Tally's norm for years. And, like, she's more confused at the fact that it's gone now than anything. And she doesn't really have any particular emotion towards herself being controlled. If that makes sense. Which is definitely not a good mindset to have.
Yeah, Sammy kind of pulls back a little and like he just kind of gently tilts the brim of Tally's hat up a little so he can look at her better. Because he's tall. The brim is large.
The brim, in fact, is very large.
So he just kind of tilts.
Gosh, thinking about that, most of the time they interact, that probably means Sammy never sees Tally's eyes.
Yeah. He just looks at her and he's just, Tally, you didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve it. Any of that. You
didn't deserve what? Like
having. You go.
Like I was just gonna say she's kind of like rubbing the back of her neck again.
You didn't deserve having your freedom, your sense of self being taken away from you. You, you're a person, Tally. You, no one deserves that, but especially you. You don't deserve to be locked up in your own head and forced to do things you don't want to do. You don't deserve to be scared of when you'll wake up next and you don't know where you are. You don't deserve that. You deserve to be able to be fully conscious of your own actions, of your own decisions, and the own consequences of your own decisions. You deserve autonomy. You deserve to be yourself and not a toy for someone else's sick amusement. You're a person, Tally.
Tally has just been kind of listening to this and has fallen quiet as she thinks over everything. I don't. I know I'm a person. But like, and like, if you want to roll insight, you can.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nat 20!
That's a nat
20! It makes sense because this is Sammy's wheelhouse, but holy pick, that was a nat 20!
Oh boy. Tally, like, is very quiet on the outside, but, like, you can tell from, like, very subtle movements and facial changes that, like, Tally's kind of wrestling, surprisingly, with different thoughts that she didn't realize she would have.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, she's thinking about it, and it's definitely not fair that that stuff happened to her. It's not fair that that stuff happened. But, like, she's not angry about it. She's not upset about it. Why isn't she upset about it? She's trying to get a grasp on why isn't she feeling anything about this and is thinking more than feeling.
I think Sammy is, especially with that nat 20, I think he's right to draw certain conclusions. Don't you think, Abby?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, his shading goes bluish purple as he stares down at you, Tali, and he gently reaches up and takes your hat off from your head so he can see you fully, and he gently puts it like to the side where you're able to reach it, and he just looks at you, Tally, with this. You've never seen him with this shade of blue and purple before, and he gently reaches out and takes you into his arms and wraps you up in the tightest hug you've ever felt. And he quietly says, "It's okay to feel, Tally. You don't have to shut it out."
But like, Tally seems like a little more confused than anything at first, and she's awkwardly like trying to return the hug as Sammy's talking to her. I mm, I don't
There's a block there, isn't there?
I don't know. Maybe.
When
I just
I was small, like you, I ran into Sinclair for the first time. And
the stupid guy?
Yeah, the stupid guy, the one who took me away when we were trying to solve that mystery. I met him when I was 10. And he tried to take me off the streets. First by words and then by charm magic. And he wanted me for my ink. Because my ink is special. It changes with my emotions. And I was able to somehow break out of the magic in time before I was taken away that first time. And I ran and I hid, and I decided that if everyone wanted ink that was tied to my emotions, I would shut everything off to protect myself.
Why would somebody take ink? That doesn't sound right. That sounds like taking a talent, and that's not good.
It's not good. It's not good, Tally. Real kind are sometimes they don't think we are people. They don't think we're real.
Tally's nodding in agreement because, Barks and Files, she was on the wrong end of that kind of mindset.
They don't think we Toons can feel anything and that we're just ink. And that if we feel anything at all, we're just like creatures, we're constructs. We don't really feel like they do, that we're not real. And
Not all real kind do that, though.
I've never.
I think I knew a real kind a long, long time ago. And I think they were very nice.
I'm glad that you had a friend like that, Tally.
What'd you say? You kind of cut out for me.
Damn it. I'm glad that you had a friend like that, Tally. I haven't met any real kind yet who are nice or kind. I don't know if I ever will, honestly, with my track record.
Maybe you're looking in the wrong places. And Tally's just very carefully reaching up and giving Sammy a hug.
Sammy's hugging her back very tightly, and he kind of just carves his hands through her hair and just. For 8 years, I locked away my emotions. And
that's a long time.
Yeah, it was a very long time to be numb, Tally. And I don't want that for you. Because being numb hurts worse than feeling your emotions. It hurts, and it can damage your soul, your very being, because you're suppressing it and locking it into silence. And silence has teeth that rip and tear and will tear you apart in the end if you don't feel things and don't let yourself be who you are. Because it makes you think that you are protecting yourself, but what you really do is you are smothering it. You're smothering yourself into nothing.
And like Tally thinks about this for a good long while, like, as Tally's, like, thinking, there's probably, like, a rustle of the wind through all the leaves of the foliage around them, and she's very absently, like, looking up at the trees. I don't know who I am, honestly. For as long as I can remember, I've been Tally the talent stealer. And I steal talents and I make people miserable.
You haven't made me miserable, Tally.
Not yet.
Tally.
It always happens. And, like, this is, like, the first time Tally's kind of, like, curled in on herself.
Sammy hasn't stopped hugging her, by the way. He's just holding her very, very close.
Tally's very quietly hugging Sammy again as she tries to, like, think about how to word what she wants to say. I'm not good at making friends. And you're the first friend I've had in a long, long time, and I'm trying to make other friends too, because it's nice, but I'm worried that if I get too comfortable, I'll go pink again, and then...
Tally. It's okay. Just let it out. It's okay.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
I know, Tally. None of us do. Sometimes you do hurt people, but all you can really do is try to make it better and try and fix things. Also, if that stupid puppet tries to make you go pink again, I'm going to deck him in the face and then light him on fire. No,
and, like, Tally just kind of giggles at that.
I'm serious, Tally. I will pecking light him on fire. I don't care how I'm gonna have to do it. I'll get, like, matches if I have to, but he's going up like a tree. He hurt you, Tally. He hurt you, and he does not deserve to hurt anybody else.
I think, like, all the other people at Dodo Studios would agree with you.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Engineer would want to beat him up too.
He was kicked.
Tobias.
Mixed Tobias was amazing. Did you see how many insults he yelled at them?
Like, Tally has to think for a bit before she shrugs. Because, like, during that fight, Tally was, in fact, pink.
Yeah.
So she doesn't exactly remember what happened. All she knows is that she was vibing with the group, and then all of a sudden the battle was over.
Yeah. Sammy actually pauses at that because he got really excited thinking about how everybody had kicked butt, and then he remembers that Tally had been controlled and stole his talent. And he gets quiet if you want to roll insight.
Oh boy, you might also want to roll insight on Tally.
Yeah, we're both rolling insight. Here we go.
Insight time. Oh boy.
Dirty
the plus
20.
one is you got the dirty 20 and I got the 15. Oh boy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay. You first.
Yeah.
Since it was your stuff.
Yeah. Tally, you notice that his shading has gone from like this kind of yellow, not yellow, kind of this like orange and red mix to kind of just white, as he kind of has this small frown on his face. And like he kind of like absent-mindedly has kind of gone to his side. His hand has like kind of like unwound from you and kind of gone to his side for a moment as he's thinking, before he kind of just blinks and sighs and kind of shakes his head and he's like, right, you weren't there, and he was controlling you. That's right.
Tally is very quietly like looking towards Sammy's side, and I can make an assumption about what he's feeling at. Oh no!
Yep. He's feeling at the scar that Tally left behind in part 1 of That's a Wrap.
Oh. Oh no! Oh no! Oh gosh. I think, like, Tally's right next to him. I think it'd be impossible for her to not notice.
Yeah, no, she'd notice, especially with that 15.
Oh boy. Tally is very quietly, like, looking down at Sammy's side and is very quietly connecting dots. And, Sammy, with that nat 20, you can see Tally's connecting these dots, and she's very quickly tensing, and uh-oh.
Sammy
Uh-oh.
grabs her and hugs her. And we don't trust dice parsers to not let this happen, so he was already kind of already holding her. He's now firmly holding her. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, because Tally has immediately started to, like, try kicking and squirming away, because, oh, she did hurt Sammy. Oh, no.
Tally, don't
And,
leave.
like...
Don't leave. Please. Don't leave.
I already hurt you. I don't want to do it again.
Coda hurt me. Do I care? I don't care.
Oh, that shuts up Tally instantly. Oh, man.
I don't care if you hurt me, Tally. It wasn't you. It wasn't you who did it. It may have been your body, but it wasn't you. It was the pecker who pecking wrapped you up in string and made you do things that you would never do on your own.
Tally has fallen quiet again, and she's like thinking over like all this stuff that she's heard so far, and she's thinking it over in her mind again and again and again of it wasn't her, but it was someone else, and it was also her at the same time, but it wasn't her, and she's just... Sammy, you can kind of feel her like tightening her hug very slowly. Like her wiggling has stopped, and she's just holding on to you, and
It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault, Tally. You're as much of a victim as everybody else in this.
I think for the first time, and as long as Tally can remember, Tally starts crying.
Sammy just wraps his arms around her and hugs her for all he's worth. And you can roll me another insight.
Okay, insight. That's a 22.
Yeah, with a 22, you realize that you can feel a wet spot on your shoulder, Tally, from where Sammy's tucked his face into your shoulder. Sammy's crying too. He's crying with you.
Oh.
And he has his hand cupped up over your head, just holding you very, very... It's a tight grip, but it's a gentle one at the same time. It's protective, and he wants to just wrap you up and take you home so you don't have to worry about anything else. But he also knows that you have your own places to be, and but for right now, he's just holding you, Tally. He's holding you because you need to be held, and he loves you so much. He loves you so much, Tally.
Gosh. I think Tally feels like she's in a very safe spot. So she just lets herself continue to cry for a little bit, and it starts flowing, and it doesn't stop for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. It's the good kind of cry where you're gonna have a headache afterwards, but it's just purging all of these emotions that you have.
Yeah, and these are all emotions that have been building up for a while. Because, like, the whole thing with Tally's situation is that she had no control over it, and now she has some semblance of control for the first time in a long time, and she's finally in a place where she can let herself feel without blocking off her emotions to not feel as bad about her situation. Because, like, Tally's only defense in her situation was to not feel as much.
Yeah.
But, like, now she doesn't have to have that defense as much anymore, so she's letting herself feel upset about it for the first time in years. And at some point, she even probably starts, like, getting angry about it, and, like, Sammy, you can kind of feel her, like, little fist just not really roughly pounding against you, but enough to be, like, to show off, "Hey, I'm upset about this," and letting herself feel, like, all the grief and the sadness and the just everything.
And Sammy lets her. He doesn't really say anything. He just kind of holds her and makes sure that she feels safe as she starts to process all of these things that have happened to her, and processing all of these emotions that she's suppressed. Because he's been there. He's been where Tally was. And she's not being held by a god, but she's being held by a cleric. So.
Gosh. It's probably close to an hour before Tally finally calms down. And she's just, like, kind of pulling away a bit, and she's just rubbing at her eyes.
Sammy digs
sleeve.
into one of his sleeves and pulls out a handkerchief and hands it to Tally so she can blow her nose.
I think Tally goes to do it and then pauses because she doesn't have a nose.
Sammy kind of just, like, blinks and then starts giggling cheerily.
Tally also starts laughing.
Sammy kind of just, like, gently takes the handkerchief from her and kind of just wipes at her cheeks to kind of help get the tears away. Do you feel better?
I think so. A little bit.
That's good. Crying is good. Let no one tell you that crying is bad, because it's good, Tally. It's really, really good to feel, and I'm glad that you cried. As mean as it sounds, I'm glad you cried.
I think I'm glad I cried too. Although that's the weirdest sentence I've ever said.
Yeah.
It's very weird to feel glad to cry.
Sammy just like nods because I know, right? Like, it's so unpleasant, but at the same time, you feel better afterwards.
Yeah. You feel nice now.
That's good. Feeling nice is
It's
good.
like when you have something on your mind a whole long time and you get a weight on your shoulders.
Sammy nods.
It's like that, but it's gone now.
Sammy reaches over and pulls her into another hug.
So many hugs.
Yes.
Tally is instantly returning the hug, I hope you know.
Good. Good. The hug
Many
fest.
hugs.
The hug fest continues.
Yes.
Sammy just kind of looks down at Tally, and his shading is a lot lighter now. His shading is yellow, and he just kind of, his eyes crinkle with the force of the smile that he's giving you, Tally, and he just kind of, he kind of like looks, and then kind of just, yeah, he looks down at you, Tally, and then he's like, didn't you have a bunny disguise while we were doing that mystery?
Oh, I think Tally thinks for a bit before she nods, and I'm gonna roll hammer space real fast just to see if she can do this. It's a 5. She kind of grins, and just to show off, she grabs the brim of her hat and pulls it over herself so that only her little shoes are sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a popping sound effect, just a, and the hat pops back up, and she's wearing the bunny disguise now.
And this time, since Sammy did see her put on the disguise, he like claps, recognizing that it's her. Oh, yay! Like his shading has grown brighter, so it's like a more bright yellow. He's like, he like claps for a bit, and then he just kind of sighs, and he's like, I only have. He pulls out some googly eyes and shows them to Tally. I just got these, and he puts them on his face. He's now wearing googly eyes. He kind of tilts his head back and forth, and they kind of just jiggle, 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 jiggle.
She kind of laughs at the googly eyes.
He like takes them off, and he's like, they're not really that good, but it's all I really have.
Well, I've got a lot of stuff in my disguise kit. I've got a lot of things. Give me a sec. And like Tally is gonna roll hammer space again. It's an 8. She kind of takes off her hat, turns it, and holds it above herself on the floor, and she starts shaking it violently.
Sammy's eyes go wide.
And there's just a whole bunch of stuff that starts tumbling out of her hat. There's like different articles of clothing, some what looks like little styrofoam bits, a lot of tape. There's a lot of tape. And eventually she shakes it all until like everything comes out before she starts scooping up different things. Uh she she very casually starts picking up some of the clothes and swapping it out with her bunny disguise, and you see her tape on a little styrofoam beak, and she flicks her hat and it turns into a little boater hat, and she puts it on and she turns to you, Sammy, and she looks very similar to one of the owls at Dodo's studio.
Sammy's mouth kind of pops open, and he's just like staring, like blink, 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 rubs at his eyes, blink, 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 blink. You look like an owl.
I do. I used this one time to sneak in there.
You what? You stuck in? Tally, what were you doing?
And like Tally very awkwardly has the little dots above her head. Uh, well, it was, it was kind of a, control-y thing, but at the same time,
Sammy kind of
it
softens
was,
at that. He
yeah.
understands. He nods. So that's.
I've got a lot more disguises than this one, and she starts like looting through the pile.
I imagine the pile is like at least up to her knees.
At least. And like she like kind of pauses and she like steps back a bit and she looks up at you, Sammy, and then back down at her pile and then back up at you before she grins and she starts like looting through it again.
Uh-huh.
Like she's like digging through and tossing clothing behind her and like grabbing styrofoam bits, and she picks up what looks like another styrofoam beak that's more hooked, and she's like, no, no, not that one. No, rabbit, we're not going for a rabbit. Oh! And eventually she pulls out what looks like a really big wolf snoot.
Sammy's just staring at it. There are like little question marks that are like floating above his head. He hasn't connected the dots that Sally is planning something.
Tally also grabs a couple other things from the pile before she basically climbs up your side and starts very abruptly trying to tape the snoot on your face.
Sally, what are you doing?
Hold on, I want to see if this works.
Okay. Sammy lets her, kind of just holding her in place so she doesn't fall off.
Tally first tapes like a little wolf styrofoam snoot to Sammy's face, and then she climbs up his shoulder and tapes a pair of fake ears to his hoodie or to his hood, and then she then scurries back to the pile and pulls out a little fox fur, like fake fur thing, and like a fake fur tail, and like holds it up for Tammy to use. Not Tammy, Sammy.
Sammy grabs it, and I'm gonna roll. What would you roll for the disguise kit? I can't remember.
For a disguise kit, it's probably either sleight of hand or stealth.
Yeah, I'm gonna
probably.
roll sleight of hand because
along with proficiency, because we're all proficient in it. We're toons.
Proficiency bonus is so that's oh boy, okay. A dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Nice.
So yeah, Tally, you put the last bit on, and Sammy like puts on the tail, and suddenly in front of you is Frank and Allie Wolf Toon, who is
Tally
blinking a little confusedly at you.
Tally pumps both fists into the air before she's gonna roll hammerspace again. 4. That succeeds. She pulls out a little hand mirror that has like a little crack on one side of it, and she holds it up to Sammy to see.
Sammy just goes like he just lets out like oh, and the wolf's muzzle, like the wolf's like some of the wolf's fur goes blue as he blinks, just blink, 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 blink. Oh, like, and it's the sky blue. It's not like a darker blue.
Aw.
So he's just like blink, 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 kind of just. Like, it looks like he's almost like preening a little because he thinks he looks cool.
Is it cool? Did I do good?
You did really good. If I didn't know that it was me, I wouldn't recognize me.
Tally is very pleased with herself.
So this is what you can do with a proper disguise kit. That's so cool.
Do you want to keep this one?
Can I?
Cause I Because I got a whole bunch more, and I don't need to look like a wolf, because wolves are a lot bigger than I am. But
Well, I mean, you could be a wolf puppy. You're small enough for a puppy.
I don't have the teeth. And she kind of makes a little goofy expression where she like,
Sammy
you
kind
know,
of
like those silly faces where she pulls on her cheeks and shows off her teeth.
yeah. Sammy just kind of like blinks down at her and then kind of just bares his teeth at her like, "Arr." And it looks like the wolf is bearing straws.
Yeah. Oh,
Sammy
so good.
Sammy kind of like shifts a little and like it makes the tail swing, so he's just like, aha, wiggles in place a little.
I think if you like move your hips a bunch, you can make it look like it's wagging.
I think you're right, and he kind of does that, and it wags, wag, 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 wag. Sammy starts giggling. Look, Tally, I can chase the tail, and he starts chasing the tail in circles. Okay, we're just gonna make a 1 sec. I just need to do a save real quick to see if he like spins around so much that like he kind of like does a little blur, and then he like sits down, and like there's like little birds circling his head. Tweet, 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 tweet. He is very dizzy.
And Tally's just giggling so much. Oh my gosh. She's practically rolling around on the fountain side, just laughing.
Sammy's just kind of leaning against the fountain, and he's just like, "Oh, that was a bad idea. How can dogs do that without getting super dizzy?" Because he's dizzy.
Oh, this is
Oh,
so sucks.
it is. Sammy's just like, I regret some things. And like he kind of takes the snoot off and the ears, but he leaves the tail on, and he just kind of puts those into his hammer space. But he keeps the tail. He likes the tail.
Tail good. Tail fluffy.
Tail is very fluffy. I kind of feel like he actually like after like the dizziness has passed, he's kind of pulled the tail up into his lap, and he's just kind of petting the fake fur because it's fluffy.
I think Tally sits down in the quiet for a little bit before she suddenly like perks up like, oh, I almost forgot. And she starts digging around in her hammer space again. And she pulls out a little glass bottle that you recognize has a talent in it.
Sammy's
And
eyes go wide.
she kind of sheepishly is holding it, and she goes, I had a talk with Donut earlier, and Donut was talking about how I could maybe get somebody to help me return these, but I'm trying to return what I can return first. I think this is Billy's, and she holds it up to Sammy to take.
Sammy grabs it, and he's like, I thought Bergson had a cold or something. He hadn't been able to smell since you guys rescued me.
Oh, I think I took it. Obviously I took it because I have it, but
Well, I'll make sure that it gets back to him. Thank you, Tally.
no problem. I'm trying to like figure out what I want to do now that I can do things on my own, but
Sammy
And if you
nods.
want to roll insight, you can, because there's something to insight there.
Yep, I am rolling insight. Oh, that's a 5.
Advantage!
Okay,
Advantage!
okay,
Please!
thank you.
Please!
Oh, dice parser, why?
Alright, I say peck the dice. This is an FPS. Okay. Tally is is saying, like, yeah, she wants to start returning things, but there's like an undertone to her voice where she's very obviously worried.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she wants to return them, but she isn't sure if she can.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if you want to know the reason behind that, you might have to press for questions, but...
Sammy gently, he's gonna put the talent into his hammer space, tuck it into his sleeve, and then he just kind of puts his hand on Tally's shoulder, and he just kind of looks her in the eyes and just, are you scared you're not gonna be able to get them all?
A little bit. There's just... And, like, Tally kind of curls up, like, with her knees against her chest on the side of the fountain again, and she's, like, trying to think how to word it.
Sammy kind of just tucks her closer to his side, like with an arm around her.
Tally just kind of snuggles up against Sammy because it's very warm and very soft.
Mm-hmm. He is very warm and very cuddly.
When I was talking to Donut said I had something like a deal or a pact or something. I think
Mm-hmm.
they called it like they talked a lot about paladins and warlocks and clerics and stuff, but I think they mentioned that mine was more like a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't remember making the deal, and they said that if I want to make sure I don't want to get taken over again, I gotta make sure to break the deal, but I'm not sure how.
Well,
And I'm worried that if I don't do it soon, it won't work,
I'll help you,
I'll go
Tally.
back to being pink.
I'll help you. Because you deserve to be free from that puppet. And maybe, I don't know if Prismatone will be alright with... let me... Words. I don't...
Words are hard sometimes.
Sammy kind of
Words are
hums and
really hard.
haws. And, like, he nods, and then he just kind of... okay. And, like, he starts again, and he's just... I don't know if Prismatone would be a good fit for you, but one of the ways I've found talking to her is you just wait until it gets darker and you just talk to her. And sometimes she appears. So if you want to see if she's the right fit for you, you can talk to her. She's really nice, Tally. She's really nice. And his shading has gone to light cherry blossom pink edged with airbrushed rose color.
Aww.
As he's talking about Prismatone. And he has a really soft smile on his face.
I'm gonna roll something for Tally real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, it made it, yes! I think Tally's just kind of tilting her head, and she's like, are you guys family?
I I haven't asked her yet, but she's like a mom to me. I
don't know what a mom is. What's a mom?
A mom is when one of the parents, Sammy, like, his shading immediately turns to, like, a spring green. As he, like, is just like, oh, oops, I forgot to clarify what parents can be broken into. Whoops.
Whoops.
And, like, he quickly kind of, like, just, his shading goes green, that spring green, and he kind of just, like, looks really sheepish as he explains, well, a mom is what a parent can be called when they use she, her pronouns. When a dad is when they use he, him pronouns, and they can also be called parent or Ren if they don't really use either of those pronouns and want something more gender neutral.
Okay, that makes sense. And like Tally nods very sagely.
Sammy nods back. And like then he just kind of rubs at the back of his head, and he's just like, "But yeah, if she'd let me, I'd like to call her mom. She's like a mom
Always
to me. Yeah, I just haven't talked to her yet. I just haven't talked to her yet. But you can roll insight if you want.
I'm rolling insight. That's
Roll with advantage. Okay,
15.
yeah. 15 works. Sammy looks nervous and a little. He's kind of scared, but like not of Prismatone, but just of what he needs to talk to her about and what happened while he was not with you guys. And like his hand has kind of started to rub at his wrist, and Tally, roll me perception.
Oh boy.
With advantage.
14 and 6.
Okay,
Yeah, 14.
14 works. You didn't notice when you were in with Barks and when during Barks and Files, but Sammy has little freckles on his wrists that he didn't have when you first met him. And
I'm just real quick gonna roll intelligence to see if she can connect dots.
Mm-hmm.
Just a straight intelligence, nope.
Oof. Yeah, they look like freckles.
She's not too familiar
freckles.
with like the concept of what happened. Like she knew something happened at Barks and Files, but she isn't sure what.
Yeah. But yeah, so like all you really know is that he's a little nervous talking to Prismatone, and he is a little scared of what they're going to need to talk about.
Well, And like Tally I think Tally's this time is the one who wraps Sammy up in a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those really nice rubber hose hugs where the arms loop around him a couple times.
Yeah, like Sammy just curls into the hug and just wraps his arms around her as much as he can, with his arms kind of pressed to his sides because of the rubber hose hug. He's just kind of awkwardly trying to hug you back.
Well, if you're worried about it, then maybe we can do the talking stuff together. Or at least I can be nearby. So it's not as hard. Because I know talking's hard sometimes.
Talking is hard.
Talking a lot about this stuff today has been a little hard, but
yeah,
I think doing talking with people is a lot easier.
Yeah, you're right, Tally. You're right. I need to talk to her.
We could take turns. We can sit here and wait and have a sleep before we do it, and then we can do a nice talk.
Yeah, that would be nice, Tally. A nap sounds good.
And Tally very quietly starts to yawn. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know if it's gotten pretty late, but, like, they did just have a very, very
Yeah,
emotional
yeah. Like,
conversation.
I think
And,
that,
you
like,
know, like,
yeah,
she's getting hit with the sleepy of,
yeah, yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
cried
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, like, it's probably late afternoon by this point, so, like, it's not dusk yet, but it's getting to that point where it's starting to get all shadowy in the garden because the sun is starting to head towards that setting point. And Sammy is going to roll hammer space, and he pulls out a really nice, big, thick blanket. And then 2 pillows so they can be more
Aww.
comfy. And he basically makes, like, he fluffs up the pillow, hands one to Tally, fluffs up the other pillow, and then just kind of flops. But he's made sure that both of both of the ends of the blanket are covering both of them.
Aww.
Because it's a big blanket.
Yeah. I like to picture that they went to a nice comfy part in the garden and
Yeah, like
like laying down.
they're probably camped out by like underneath one of the trees.
Yee. I think like please have the mental image of like at first like they're just kind of like lying right next to each other, but like somehow in some way Tally has somehow ended up being hugged by Sammy.
Yes,
Like a tiny little stuffed animal.
yes, he just kind of like in his sleep rolls over and scoop. Tally, you are now trapped.
I am Tally is not trapped.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind. She's very sleepy, very very sleepy, very tired.
Yeah, they're both very tired. They both had very emotional time talking about this stuff.
Yep. I think that would be a good spot to end it.
Yep, I think so too. Thank you all for
Yay.
listening.
Thank you for listening. Oh my gosh, this was very fun.
It was very great.
Ah,
Bye,
I love that.
listeners.
Goodbye.
Bye.